My God, I thought that was a child. This place is weird. What the fuck is that? Look. Do you see what I have to deal with? Look at that. I tell you, the people here are crazy. Can you imagine what I have to deal with? I was lucky enough to get them from Dr. Raymond Sawyer, who died a few years ago. He was one of the greatest ornithologists, and his house in the country was full of the most exotic birds and plants. And so this group is a very, very lovely find, which I was lucky enough to have. It's not a good idea to have an active social life, and especially no holidays. You go on holiday, you come back, the bonsais are gone. They're extremely, extremely sensitive. For example, if someone else waters them, they don't like it, so I have to make sure that I water them and do the little bits of pruning and looking after. But they say in the bonsai world, until you don't kill your first bonsai, you can never be on the road to becoming a bonsai master. It's impossible. This one is the Kimura. It's a Kimura bonsai. It's the oldest one here. I started working for my family when I was, I would imagine 17. And it was a wonderful experience because they used to deal in carpets and jewels and blah, blah, blah. And I was very happily on my way to becoming, well, I would imagine a glorified salesman of sorts. I went to the National Gallery for the very, very first time. I saw the Holbein painting there, and then I thought to myself, instead of engaging in commerce or making money, it's so much better that to paint, because after you die, at least someone years later might like your shit and might be inspired by it. And I think that's so much better. No? Until about 3 years ago, we only used to have the hammerite. And this is the paint mixing room. So you'd have the weak and strong hammerite, which is sort of the usual hammerite, which only comes in about 3 or 4 shades, which are not really great shades because you don't really get the depth and the variety of color. But then on the internet, we found this a machine that no one really wanted to use, and it's absolutely, it's an antique. You don't get any of these anywhere. So these, and with mediums, and it's absolutely primitive, but it works brilliantly. So this machine enabled me to make my own paints, and so we make our own paints here, like you can see. They do have, some of them do have sort of rather funny names, but please don't. It's the kids here being naughty. I wanted to find a medium that I could work with and try to develop over a certain amount of time, and I just want to see where it would all lead to, and that was about 20 odd years ago. And it's that journey of 4 primary, really hideous hammerite paints to this. I would say that it all starts with the drawings. For example, this is the Cranach for the Scottish National Gallery, that one over there. So there was a photo shoot for that painting where I was posing as the protagonist, and the result was this drawing here. And this is translated onto board. I would say that, yes, drawings are the absolute backbone of the practice. So if you imagine that Cranach painting, the Cranach drawing that you just saw, so that comes into, translated onto acetates, and then the acetates are projected onto the surface of the paintings here. So you see there is I mean, this one is finished in terms of the composition, but for example, as you can see, that there's the bird cage. So there's a bird cage here. If I want it bigger, it can be bigger. If I want it smaller, it can be smaller. You see? So it gives a lot of freedom when the paintings are being composed, and saves a lot of time. I have to make sure that there is enough detail, but not too much detail that can be translated into a line drawing with the stained glass liner. So each one of these sections lined with the liner, and paint is poured into each and every single section so that it doesn't go into the other bits, if you see what I mean. So each and every single bit of drawing is almost entombed and walled in, and then the paint is poured. Should we go to see the second level? This is, as you can see, a painting in progress, and now what has happened is, and it's, I think, interesting to see, for example, here, you can see here, and I can show you how it's all done. So over here, now, we have what is basically foliage, and this is a bit of a tree. So next to the lighter leaf, of course, there's going to be a slightly darker one. I need a tinge of yellow. My lovely team here, and I think that this atelier is something absolutely incredible, have been with me for 10 years, 12 years, because it takes that amount of time as a journey to be able to come here. That element of, as one might call it, craft or making is, I think, it's that, taking it to an absolute crazy romantic extreme, and really, I always want to see how these things implode or how they explode. I really don't know. I work on a number of paintings, and so this one has been, the drawing for this dates back to, God, 3.5 years. And this has been, well, being painted and worked on now for, I would say, 2.5 years. Yeah. Lovely things happen. So because I always do feel that it's lovely to have the painting studio next to the yoga room. It's all sort of, good energy, I think. Hope it is. So it's very peaceful in here. I presume a single man of no consequence, an old single man of no consequence, doesn't really have much to do in life than meditate and paint and all that kind of shit. No? Phileas, let's go, Philly. Psst, psst. When I came to the sausage factory first, it was an absolute derelict dump. And no one wanted it, and it was raining outside, it was raining inside, and look how fabulous, when I first came in, isn't that wonderful that you have the shard over there? So this is a painting after Machetto, and this is this is basically a portrait in the sculpture studio next door. Now next door has been a painting studio only for about 2 years, because all the painting used to be downstairs. That used to be the sculpture studio, and as you can see, that is me creeping from the corner, and this was actually 100% the way the studio looked, except for, of course, the floor, in terms of, it was just a plain floor, but all these splatters and all these things, they're all life studies from the debris around the studio. As you can see, the protagonist is, in a way, trapped within the confines of the so-called studio. Because I come from Kashmir, and I grew up in India, and I grew up with all these, sort of colors and objects, and that, of course, will come into the work. Whether these paintings are good, whether they're bad, I don't think that no one really knows. I think we'll have to wait for another 100 years to see that if they are really any good, and unfortunately, we'll all be dead by then. And even now, there is quite a lot of this thing of, it's decorative art, figurative art, blah-de-blah, whatever it is. But whatever it is, it's my life, and that's all I can do. And I feel that when I look at the first painting and the one we were looking at earlier, I think that it's a sort of an okay justification for a life, no?